STEM ambassador. And so we have the phrase, like, if she can see it, then she can be it. And for me, like, that was definitely one of those moments. Like, I saw this woman being represented as a game developer, and something clicked latently in my head that, oh, this is something I can do.
It's not just her building empathy for the containers that of the community and where she lives as a whole.
And then, like, over time, it becomes like a platform, and they kind of like remove the ability to like.
Oh, hello. Look at me. Almost started muted, but I didn't do it. Hello, everyone. Welcome in to our Mental Health Awareness Month Code Chat. So good to be here with y'all today. We are very, very excited. We have a very, very special guest here today with us. So without further ado, I'm going to do a quick intro about Brown Girl Gamer Code for those of you who may not be familiar with us. So Brown Girl Gamer Code is a leading digital community for women and families of color in the gaming and tech industry. It was created out of the need to have a space to not only connect with others like us, but also build a platform where our stories and our contributions in these industries are centered and amplified. Our mission here at BGGC is to advocate for representation, equity, and opportunity for marginalized industries, identities in the gaming and tech industries. In the face of rampant toxicity and exclusion and being undervalued, we resist. So our vision is to be a premier platform for high quality content and community building. And we are so excited to have our Code Chat series be a part of that. So before we hop into the interview, there are a couple of helpful items for your viewing experience. If you need closed captions, we are also live on YouTube, and there are captions there, and we'll also be on the video after this ends. So before we get into it, I'm going to do our intro for our amazing guest. So Patricia Noel is a licensed social worker and Discord's mental health and well-being policy manager. Discord enables people to build meaningful connections around the joy of playing games. We love Discord. Our home has always been in Discord, so it's an honor to be speaking with someone who works at Discord and is a part of making it the great platform that it is. Patricia's background includes crisis support and suicide prevention for LGBTQIA youth, Black perinatal mental health, and adolescent mental health. Patricia holds a BA in psychology and public relations from Pennsylvania State University and an MSW from Rutgers University. Passionate about holistic and culturally competent mental health care, she focuses on providing individuals with the tools to articulate their feelings and ensuring access to appropriate resources. At Discord, Patricia provides mental health considerations for the platform's products and features, forms strategic partnerships, and leverages data to promote a safe and supportive online environment. I was recently interviewed by Patricia earlier this year for Black History Month, which is an honor to participate in. And I'm very thrilled to have her on the show today to learn more about her expertise. So without further ado, let's welcome Patricia. There she is.
Hey, Brandy.
Hi.
Hey, everyone watching. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, we are so excited to have you here. So let's hop right in. Tell us about yourself and what got you into video games.
Yes. Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you again so much for having me. I know you mentioned at the top of it that I had the honor of interviewing you back in February for our Black History Month series on building inclusive communities. And people still talk about that conversation today. I mean, we want to do a part 2 because the conversation between you and Jayanne were so good. So we'll make sure that we schedule that. But it was a highlight. Okay, so a little about me and how I got into video games. You covered a lot in the bio. I'm a licensed social worker, and I'm really, really proud about that. I'm really proud to do that work. A fun fact is I did animation casting for 3 years before I went into mental health. I'm first generation Haitian American. May 18th was actually just Flag Day for us, so I'm really proud about that. I speak Creole. And then how did I get into video games? So my mom got my sister and I the PS1 back in the late 90s. Like, I remember it was in our old house, and my sister and I were so excited to receive it. And it was back when the console came with the demo disc. And I just remember my mom was like, that's all y'all get. Like, this is your game, and this is your game system. And my sister and I played that demo disc over and over and over again. Like, I would say Mortal Kombat and Crash Bandicoot are some of my favorite games, just for the pure nostalgia of my sister and I sitting in front of the screen, playing the game over and over again. Me being like, we only had one controller, so I would have to wait my turn. I remember taking out the disc and having to like on it and wipe it on my shirt and put it back in. And that really was my entry into it. And then when the Game Boy came out, I had really liked Pokemon. So I had a Game Boy Color. It was blue. And I played my Pokemon, and I brought it around everywhere with me. So that's kind of been a little bit of my experience and my history into games. And I just never thought that I would be working in it completely. But it's been nice to be here and learn a little bit more about the industry.
Yes. Oh my gosh. First of all, demo disc. I will preach to the mountains, at the top of the mountains, about the demo disc, because like demo discs were like my entry point as well. I also, the PS1 was my first console. And I remember being obsessed with the demo disc on the PlayStation 1 because it had Spyro, it had Gran Turismo, it had that really fun, like it was a ninja game. I cannot remember the name of it.
But it had Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes, it had I really appreciate the demo disc. And like, you just really sent me back, like having to take the game out and blow on it and wipe it off.
Yep. Yep, unlock the core memory, right? Yeah.
Yes, core memory. Seriously. It's so good to hear that was also like your entry point too, and like, because I can really, really relate to that PS1 experience, and like, only having one controller and things like that. So I really I love that you brought that up. So let's see. So do you have a favorite game of all time?
Goodness. Okay. So since being at Discord, I have rediscovered my love for games, and I bought myself a Switch. I think it's been over a year now. And so like for the nostalgia reasons, I'll say Mortal Kombat and Crash Bandicoot, just because the demo disc and playing with my sister. And then I would say that I really like the game Wildflowers on the Switch. I love it so much that I've had, like, when my friends have come over, I've handed them my Switch and started a new game for them. And I was like, play this game and then buy it and let me know when you buy it. And I was able to successfully convince 2 friends to buy the game. I just love that voice acting. I love the story behind it, but I have a bunch of games queued up to play. So the spot for favorite game is still wide open.
Okay. So that's, you know what? I like that perspective too, because like I have to put my favorite games in categories, because new games keep coming out. Right now, my favorite game is South of Midnight.
Brandy, I was this close to buying an Xbox so I can play.
Do it.
I'm so close to doing it. I want to play that game so bad.
Do it.
So bad.
Listen, if you listen, I'm no help, because I'm gonna just tell you to do it.
So bad.
I'm gonna just tell you to do it, because I think about that game every day at some point, because it just really had such a mark on me, and I felt so connected to it. I can't wait to replay it. So like I have like current, and on top of South of Midnight, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of my favorite games right now. And of course, and then I have like my games from like back in the day that have just persisted. Like it's like my holy trinity of games. So like Tomb Raider, obviously, because I got Laura's glasses on right now.
Yeah.
But Tomb Raider, Spyro, of course, and then Grand Theft Auto and The Sims. Like those,
Oh my gosh,
those I just
talked
cannot.
about the Sims. We talked about the Sims. I couldn't get into it. I couldn't.
That's
get
really?
into it. I know.
Wait, when did you come in though?
Okay.
Are you talking about current Sims or like did you try back in the day?
No, I tried current Sims. It was probably like 2 years ago.
Mm.
I do think number one, it was like beginner's error because I tried to play it on my Mac and the thing was running real slow.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what I was doing. And I felt like I set the house on fire like too many times. I just didn't. I was like, but I told you to shower, so why is the house on fire now? And I just didn't have the patience anymore. I'll try it again maybe, but I had to give it up. I had to give it up.
Listen, that is peak Sims behavior. That is peak Sims behavior. Telling them to take a shower, and now the house is on fire.
The house is on fire so many times, and then she was running all over the place. I didn't know where she was going. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Maybe I just needed. You know what it is? I'm gonna say that I needed to experience other games to teach me the patience, so that I can go back to The Sims. But I do think that I need the right system to play it.
Yes, that's a game changer. Like having the right system. Because I started playing Sims on console, so like console gaming was like it for me. I didn't get into like PC stuff until like I was an adult. But I started on console for me, and it was that was a good entry level experience because it was a lot more simple. But yes, having the right system makes all the difference. I have a Mac and try to play my Sims on the Mac, and baby.
It wasn't working.
No, she was struggling and smoking.
Well, like it sounded like she was working overtime, mountain, like everything that took her breath away. That's what my computer sounded like. Yes,
absolutely. So The Sims, like, of course, it inspired a lot of like my like love and joy as a gamer and things like that. And then of course there's like people in the industry too that have also like inspired me since I've like gotten into the industry. So who are some people that in the industry that you look up to and like influence you positively?
Okay, so I feel like I'm really lucky to be working at the intersection of mental health and gaming. So I'm gonna start with some of my mental health influences, and I'll speak a little bit more on my gaming influences. So mental health wise, I'm gonna start with Dr. Tia Dole. She is the Chief Lifeline Officer at Vibrant Emotional Health, so for 988. And I met her, I think in 2019 while I was at the Trevor Project. She became our clinical operations officer there and then oversaw me. And I mean, that woman changed my life. Like she changed my life. She is the reason why I am in the seat that I am today. She has pushed me and like had this belief in me that I did not have in myself. So I just need to gush about her. And continues to be a mentor today. I really look up to Dr. Danielle Busby, who does work at Duke right now. She's actually also from Detroit. I met her through her organization, Brown. Oh my gosh. No, I'm confusing the name. Black Mental Wellness. I was thinking about Brown Girl Gamer Code. Black Mental Wellness. I love Dr. Alfie. Dr. Joy from Therapy for Black Girls, Dr. Raquel Martin. So some of those, those are my favorite. Those are the ones who I look up to, like within the mental health space. Now within the gaming space, I've been here for 2 years, so there's a lot of people for me to still learn and meet. I'm gonna name my manager as one of my influences. I just think she has a wealth of knowledge, and she is able to. I really learned about the ways that game can support your mental health and well-being and like the good that it can do for you through her and her sharing some of her stories. And then I'll also say Kishana Gray. I love her work. I love her research. And I saw that you had her for the documentary. I love her.
Yes. I love working with Dr. Gray. She is such a gem in the space. And, you know, I'd always I followed her like for years, just, you know, being in the industry and stuff, but like to be able to like, it was like when we were filming and like she arrived and I came in the house and I was like, I was starstruck.
No.
And like she's so humble. And like what you see like on the online, that's her in real life too. Like, and I love when people are like that. And
Mhm.
you know, it's just such a warm spirit, and so kind and so knowledgeable on so many things. I could just listen to her talk like for hours about everything.
I have
You
gone
know.
on YouTube and watched hours of her talking
Mhm.
about her research. I
Mhm.
love the way that she finds intentional ways to bring us into the
Yes.
research, whether
Yes.
it's highlighting the ways in which it's harming us or the ways in which it can be more inclusive
Mhm.
of us.
Mhm.
I think she's just such a fierce advocate for us when it
Yes.
comes in the gaming space.
Mhm.
And, you know, when you're doing that kind of work, that data and that research is important. So the fact
Mhm.
that she brings that knowledge and brings it into, like, she's just,
Mhm.
and I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I
Yes.
fan over her.
Yes.
I met her in person and same. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm meeting you.
I know.
And I remember once I said something to her. She was like, I've heard so much about you. And I was like, me?
Right. Me?
I've heard so much about you, but you heard about me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, she's great. It's been great, like seeing her career and stuff like that. So to shift a little bit, in my research of you, I learned that you used to work at DreamWorks Animation. How cool is that? So we have a lot of members in our community who are wanting to enter similar fields. So what would be your advice for doing so, for getting into a field like that? And like, what was your journey like?
Yeah. You know, I think that voiceover work now might actually be a little bit easier than what it was when I was in the industry. And I say that like I was in the industry a long time ago and that I'm very old, but I got in it in 2015. So it's been over 10 years. Um, I started, so like I always knew that I wanted to be a mental health professional and I thought that I wanted to be a therapist for people in the industry. And when I was in school, I was like, well, I don't really get directing. I don't really care much for production. I don't care for script writing. Like those are not the things that are interested in me to me, but I really love actors and I've always loved actors. And so I was like, and I remember doing some research and they're like casting and they're like, if there's a way that you want to get into casting, study PR. And I was like, all right. I don't really see how it helped me, but I will say public relations is what made me be a better writer. So I do thank that field for that. And just all of my internships were in it. So my junior year internship, I did one in New York. And then my senior year internship, I did one for DreamWorks Features. And then I stayed in touch with them. And then when I graduated college, they were ready to hire a casting assistant for DreamWorks TV. And so I was able to interview. And then I moved out to LA and I got to live that life for a little bit. But the reason why I say that it is easier, I think it's easier now, is because I think that there are a lot of different avenues for it. And I think that there are a lot of different ways to be discovered. When I worked in the industry, a lot of things were, it was agent only. And so like, and also it's also the fact that like, there are a lot of people making their own things. Like I think about how y'all just made your own documentary. If you decide that you want to make something animated, like you can reach out to your community to see who's able to do it, who can voice. And I think that there's a lot of beauty in that. So it's been, I don't feel like I have really great advice on how to get into it now, other than just like find some atypical ways. Don't feel like you have to have an agent. I really don't think you need an agent, or at least you don't need to be with like those big agents. Maybe start doing audiobooks. There's a lot of audiobook options out there. Sometimes it's self-published books. Sometimes it's books that have a bigger publisher behind it. And then look for people who are creating passion projects around you, whether it's animated. There are people who are using YouTube and TikTok, and they're just getting their work out there. So tap into your network and look to see who's casting. I've seen a lot of like, even on LinkedIn and on Instagram, I feel like I've seen a lot of folks who are like, oh, I'm looking for a voice for this passion project that I'm working on. Like, send me your materials or let me know who you can go to. And that's how people have gotten some jobs. So I would say that.
Yes, I love that because I think what really stands out to me about that answer is like, one, there's no like streamlined way about doing that, but also like looking at what you have, like, what do you currently have? and how can you take advantage of that to get to where you need to go, you know? Like you're absolutely right. Like reach out to your community. People are using YouTube, TikTok, you know, all kinds of different things. Like, and that's essentially what I did. Like I didn't even know that I could work in video games. Like if I would have known that growing up, I probably would have, that would have changed my whole trajectory would have changed. But you know, it all started. I started Brown Girl Gamer Code because I was a gamer. I wanted to find other people like us and make a platform. You know, I created a free website on Wix and, you know, just kind of went from there. Even, you know, with the documentary, like I knew I wanted to make a film. I wanted to get into documentary work and I wanted to tell stories in gaming some kind of way and creatively. And I never wrote no script before. What? I've never written, like I've written like a YouTube script. But
Cindy, when I tell you the documentary is so good, like I would have never known that. I mean, it comes naturally to you. And I really want to point out what you're saying too, is like, make your own lane. Like you make your own lane in what you're saying and you went after what it is. And like, because we have all these different avenues, whether it be short form on TikTok or you doing YouTube, or even you want to put stuff on Instagram, like you really don't have to wait to be discovered in the traditional sense where you are trying to have meetings with agents or trying to go to all these casting, like you can make your own thing and there's an audience for it there. I mean, when I was in, I don't know if it was when I was in college or outside, but I watched somebody's passion project on YouTube on being a Black girl in college. And I remember it was just like me and 20 other people, but I checked in every single week for a new episode and they had found their audience. So sometimes it's resourcing, but I do think that we have a lot of tools where people can put their talent out there.
Absolutely. Like I could not agree more, especially on like creating your own lane, like defining it like that. And that, I think that's a part of the creative process and getting into anything is figuring out what is my lane. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that'll help a lot of folks like it'll help you stay more, like be intentional on your journey when you take the time to carve out your own lane. I'm also inspired by what you said about like, you talked about like voice acting and like casting and stuff like that. Cause that is something that that I'm interested in and like voice acting. And like, I don't know, I'm not really 100% sure where to start, but you know, again, using resources like LinkedIn and things like that, and literally just making something and putting it out there. Like literally that's it, you know?
Exactly. And there's so many avenues in voice acting. Like I know I mentioned audiobooks, there are commercials, there's video games. Like sometimes the people who are doing voice acting for TV aren't always the same people who are doing voice acting for video games. So that's a whole lane of itself. But yeah, there's it's a whole world. It's a beautiful world and it needs more of us in there too.
Yeah, exactly. Period. Period. So in addition to DreamWorks, I also saw that you used to work at the Trevor Project. Very familiar with that organization. They've done some really important work in terms of providing mental health support and suicide prevention to LGBTQIA+ youth. So can you speak to some of the work you did there and like the significance of it?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Both Trevor and DreamWorks, I really set me up for just like my career overall. I think that they gave me a lot of responsibilities that back then I was like, you sure you want to give this to me? But you know, they had a belief in me. We got it done. Trevor was such passionate work because exactly like you said, the mission was providing support for LGBTQ youth. I worked specifically on the Lifeline operations. So this is when I still lived in LA. So I started off doing pretty much support that helped maintain the Lifeline. So we were doing volunteer training. We were doing shift supervision. We were supporting volunteers on calls. Sometimes it was like unfortunate things such as calling law enforcement or making reports. And then I got to do some special projects where I had no business doing this. I'm not even gonna lie, but I was doing like OKRs, which is like organizational key results. Like I had no business doing that. I really faked my way through that. And then I was like creating a training. Oh, and that's where I actually had my colleagues be voiceover actors. I like reached out to them. I was like, hey, can you read this script? I don't know what I'm doing, but I need it. And then I ended my time there doing Lifeline operations when we took the training fully remote. This was like a response to the pandemic, because before you could only be a volunteer in Los Angeles or New York. And because, you know, everything was shut down, we had to pivot real quick. And so it became a virtual opportunity. And I was really, really fortunate to be the first Lifeline operations manager and launch the first 3 cohorts of over, I think it was 120 volunteers. Again, I had no business doing this. I had a team of 11. What am I doing with the team of 11?
You was doing it. You were doing it, girl. You were doing it. Okay.
And it was so, what was really cool about that work is like, you know, volunteers were so passionate about providing support to our young people, but they were scared. And then you take them through this journey where maybe they're a little bit timid saying the word suicide. That's like one of the first things we do, is get comfortable with saying it to reduce the stigma. And then by the end, like, you get to hear them being amazing counselors on the call and tapping into that empathy and realizing like, oh, I could have a conversation and that can help support somebody. So that Trevor really holds, I mean, all of my roles hold a special place in my heart, but Trevor, I was one of the things that, like, when I was leaving DreamWorks, I felt like I wasn't doing important work. And when I got to Trevor, I had such a reality check, because I remember I was like on a call with somebody and they mentioned as a safety plan watching one of the shows that I worked on at DreamWorks. And I was like, everybody is doing something important. Like, idea of what's important could be, it's unique to you, but like it just was such a look in the mirror for me, because I was like, I'm over here casting doubt, you know, like people can say that about video games, but video games support mental health, and that's a way for people to release and like cope. And there's a lot of stories that can be and emotions that can be explored through video games. And so that was a huge learning lesson for me. Like, it made me reconsider how I defined important, and made me just be like, everybody is doing something important to them, and it is supporting and helping folks in one way or the other. And you might not know it, but it really does create meaning.
Yes. Oh, wow. Girl, listen, you said so many things, so many key things in that answer. And first of all, because I was getting ready to tell you, I was like, I'm waiting for her to get done so I can tell her, like, girl, stop that. Like, because you definitely did important work. Right. But like, I also needed to hear that. Like, because sometimes I get too deep into my own thoughts, and like, even, you know, I have those same thoughts sometimes, even, you know, with my organization. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough. And like, you know, sometimes I feel like even small things that I try to do, I'm like, I don't know if this is actually impactful for the community that I'm aiming to serve. Like, you know what I mean? But like, even the smallest things can have an impact on somebody, even just one person. Yeah. And like everything, it's important work. Everybody's doing important work. Even, you know, when I transitioned from higher education into gaming, like, you know, I was having similar feelings. Like, I did all this, you know, I'm managing a residence hall. Like, am I impacting my students? And are, you know what I mean? Am I doing anything like that's important and like significant to them, like on their journey? And so, yes, the answer is yes. Yes. So to anybody in the audience who is, you know, having those thoughts and thinking and questioning whether the work you're doing is important, it is important.
It's so important. It's so important. It's needed, and nobody can do it like you.
Exactly. Nobody can do it. Okay. Yes.
You have your unique touch. It might not look like how somebody's doing it on that side or on this side. All you really have to worry about is yourself. And
exactly.
Brandy, you know, something that I really want to say is, I remember during our conversation in February when it was myself, and I see Nisa in the chat. Nisa is my ERG co-lead. Hey, Nisa. When we were having the chat with you, Brandy, you talked about how your Discord server for your community is a place where the community members can take off their armor in a space, which is like still a virtual space, an online space that can feel I could feel really damaging and harming. And when I tell you that quote stuck with me, and I just want to reflect back to you, like the fact that you have created a space where folks can go in and they can feel like they can let themselves breathe a little bit in this very chaotic online world where you don't know what you're going to get. No, you're doing phenomenal work, and you're doing it like it's needed, and you're creating a lot of impact.
Thank you. And I look like me tearing up. Oh no. Oh no. let me
receive it. Yes, receive it.
I receive it. I receive it. I really appreciate those words. And I also appreciate the folks like who helped me do this work. Like our team. I've got folks in chat, Hexley, who's been ride or die since the beginning. Community members in the chat, Junie as well. There are folks who are not here today, but there are so many people like in our community that help run it and help make the space what it is. And I'm very grateful for them. And I also appreciate your words. Thank you. Because I get, like I said, get so down on myself sometimes. Another thing you said earlier though was about gaming and how gaming can be like support mental health.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so important to keep bringing up, because I see so many people talk about like how who are just misunderstand gaming. They only think it's just picking up a controller and things like that. But at the same time, like, yeah, you're picking up a controller, you're playing, but like, yes, gaming has helped my mental health tremendously. I mean, tremendously. I live in Michigan, and I struggle with seasonal depression a lot. Like I try to brace myself every time that like October, November start running around, the sun goes in, it's cold. It's like, it just can be really daunting and like, it really does affect me. But like video games carry me through, and I cannot express that enough. That's why I'm so hooked on Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because me just being able to sink myself into this beautiful environment and this story, like it helps. Like it gives me hope. It calms me. It's my bedtime. Yeah, people have bedtime stories. That's my bedtime game. Like I play it before bed every night because that's what it does for me. So I don't care what nobody say. Like gaming.
I'm just
is
laughing
impactful.
at like a title called Assassin's Creed being your bedtime.
I know.
Whatever helps, girl.
Look, you gotta play it. Have you played it? You gotta play it.
I know. Look at me. I'm over there talking stuff, and I've never played the game. No,
Steve, don't knock it till you try it.
I know. I feel like I gotta challenge myself a little bit more.
Yes.
I'm like putting myself out of. I love the cozy games, but there was a while when I was like, oh, I need something a little bit more stimulating. So I've been playing a bunch of other games. But something that I want to comment on what you said is, there's just a lot of misinformation, and when it comes to games, and I think gaming historically has a persona attached to it, and there's like one image that comes to mind, and it's not accurate. I mean, and there might be some people who fit it. It's a small subset, and for me, that's been one of the most rewarding things about working at Discord, is being able to immerse myself in the research and hear real stories from folks about how gaming has helped them. And I don't really like to champion one thing over the other. I think every conversation requires nuance, but who am I to say that video games doesn't support somebody's mental health? If somebody says, I use this to navigate this feeling, or I've used it to explore this. And then on top of that, there's phenomenal research on how gaming can support and help develop critical thinking skills.
Yes.
And how if you play, I think it's like if you play open world games, like you are able to critically think, a little bit more. I mean, there's so many things for it. And I've even learned that myself about when I'm having a stressful time, what am I reaching for? Sometimes I'm reaching for my Switch.
Yes.
Sometimes after I've had a heavy meeting day, I'm playing a game on my computer to reset before I jump back into it. Like there's a lot of misinformation. I think it can be really easy for folks to villainize something that they don't know.
Yes.
And I think it's also easy to villainize something that people don't think is for them.
Yes.
And gaming is for everybody.
Period.
When my mom was here, I had her play Mario Kart with me. That was her first time playing the game. That woman kicked my butt. So I was like, Mom, have you played this before? And she was like, no. And I was like, I believe you, but I don't believe you because I mean, she was so smooth with it. But anyway, but like my mom's in her 60s, I got to introduce her to it. So there's just, if people are interested in it, there's a lot of information that can be shared, but I will never take that away from people.
Yep, exactly. So you talked about like what some of the things you really like about working at Discord and how that helps you or like how you're able to immerse yourself in the research. So you're currently the mental health policy manager at Discord, which we absolutely love. We love to see it. So like I said earlier, Discord has been our home for years. It's always been our home. That's where our community was born, was in Discord. And so it really means a lot to see Discord prioritizing and investing in mental health resources for members and things like that. And one of the things I really just appreciate is whenever I'm looking for like a resource, Discord has it. Like it has it. And like I just love that resource library that it has. So more about your role though. What exactly does your role like entail? Like what does your day-to-day look like?
Every day looks different. I have the honor and pleasure to shape it how I see fit. I am the first in this role. So when I got here, I actually remember like my first several months, I was like waiting for somebody to tell me what to do. And then I finally was like, oh, I get to decide what to do. And like, I just got to get it approved and do that. So my role, sometimes it's research based. I might have gotten it right from this conversation, but I really value research and hearing from people themselves. So one of the things that I was able to do when I got there was we did a 5-month foundational mental health research to learn a little bit more from our users on their general mental health state, what they would like to see from the platform, what's helping, what's not helping, just to learn a little bit more, because then I get to also support when it comes to coming up with new features and new tools and new resources. And so I wanted to make sure that like we were making that decision from a resource informed space that we heard exactly from our users. So doing that, I'm on a newly developed sub team with my colleague who is our global teen wellbeing manager. And so together we make, her name is Christelle, shout out Christelle. And together we make the wellbeing and empowerment team. So we've been really, and that just happened. So we've been really thinking about like, what does that look like? And so that's a mix of internal work. So again, working on some products, providing some like teen perspectives and mental health perspectives to some new things that might come to the platform. Again, it's doing research, it's having conversations either with young people or like folks who are on the platform who are playing games. There's a lot of external aspects too. So I was able to speak at GDC in March, I was nervous, but that was really cool. We got to talk about a partnership that we did with a game called World Reborn.
Yes, I played it. Yes, I played it. Yes, I played it. I should leave a little note for one of the kids.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Oh
yes,
my gosh,
yes.
I cannot wait to tell them that you played it. It's getting, I mean, people are really loving it. For folks who are interested, World Reborn is a mobile game. You can get it off the App Store. Right now, it's only in iOS. It's a free mobile game. It's absolutely beautiful. But we were able to develop a mission for the game. And like, it was just allowing ourselves to integrate actually into a game and talk about pro-social gaming in this way. So sometimes I feel like I'm in a lot of meetings. Sometimes I feel like I'm traveling all the time. Sometimes I feel like I'm writing. It's a little bit of everything, but it keeps it really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just dropping the link to World Reborn in the chat.
Thank you.
Because you all absolutely need to check out World Reborn. It's such a good, it's just so refreshing. Like I was playing it and I was like, wow, this is, and it's so timely for like what's going on in the world and like, especially with young people. And I just really appreciate how gaming is just everything. Like, like especially impactful games, and that is an impact. That's an impactful game. So y'all check out World Reborn. Please check it out.
I
Yes.
cannot wait to tell. So Jess and Alicia are the co-founders of the game, and Jess is a Black woman and like talks about her identity and being in the space all the time. But they really wanted to create something, like you said, that was timely, but also help build self-efficacy within our younger generation, because it can be really easy to feel hopeless. And so by doing this little task, like they've gotten so many people who've decided to write the note instead of there's a mission in there where you can write a note to a sick child in a hospital, or you can do a pre-written note, and they've had like more than half of the participants decide to write their own note, and it's just so so meaningful.
I did. I wrote my own note. Yeah. I love that. But you're doing such good work at Discord, and like just hearing about all the initiatives that you all are doing, like just got me very excited about like just what the future holds, especially just knowing that I feel like we're in good hands. Like as a user of the platform, like I feel like we're in good hands, especially, you know, I have siblings who are young in high school. I'm definitely gonna make my sister play this. She's 16. I'm definitely yep, I'm gonna send it to her like, hey, get on this right now. But yeah, like I really appreciate like the work that you all are doing. And also shout out to speaking at GDC. Yes, I spoke for the first time there last year. So yes, I understand the pressure and the nerves. But I know you did great.
Thank you. And I know you did too, based on this conversation. It's been, you know, one of the things that I think is really, Discord is a really special platform. And I wasn't a user of it until I started working there, and I've been really able to digest the unique ways in which people can express themselves and enter certain spaces and have conversations. Like I love the fact that you can have a different profile for server. Like I think that's a great, that could be helpful for so many different reasons. But I'm also like, I always think about the users in terms of resources. And like I know you mentioned the safety library, which it does have a lot of great, shout out to the folks even like way before I got there who have been, there's a phenomenal team of folks who write articles and break down all of the features on the platform. And I would say like resources are really important to me. So like making sure that our users in the US know about crisis text line, and making sure that our users abroad know that we have Throughline Care, and that those are resources that are free to them. Because number one, we want to make sure that we're meeting people where they are, which is on the platform. But we also don't want to be like I hate the idea of giving somebody a resource that's like, okay, now you got to pay $10. So it's making sure that these things they're well aware of it. They know that it's there for them to use, and just championing it wherever we can.
Exactly. Because the last thing when somebody's in crisis, the last thing you want them to have to do is have to go through barriers to get help. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're going through crisis, you need the most accessible care possible.
Yep.
So I love that the resources are free and that for people to access. Hate when things are locked behind a paywall. I'm like, you got somebody in crisis here. Hello? You know what I mean? So yeah. So what has been the most fulfilling project or policy that you worked on at Discord so far?
I mentioned the wellbeing and empowerment team. That's been really exciting. I mentioned the research already, so I'm gonna kind of double down onto the resources. So, one of my first major partnerships that I got to create when I got to Discord was our partnership with Throughline Care. And Throughline Care is a global network of vetted helplines across the country. So we have a dedicated directory site. It's discord.findahelpline.com. I think I will double check and I'll drop it in the chat. But
okay.
And I can send you a write-up of all these too. But users can use it in 11 different languages, and they can search by country and they can search by topic. And then they can see what hotlines are available to them, what are their hours, depending on their device's capability. If they can get access to care via WhatsApp, and they can automatically start a message. And again, that's one of my mental health is integrated in everything. And I'm very lucky to be able to work in a field that I'm incredibly passionate about. And I think we need to stop thinking that mental health is like this one separate thing. Like it's wrapped up into our entire lives.
Yes.
So that's been really meaningful for me and fulfilling for me, is to be able to have that available for our users.
Yes. I'm going to definitely check that out. Because I think, like, wow, what a resource, especially with the language support, like that's huge. I would definitely check that out and link that to our community too, because we have folks, who speak different languages and who are in different areas of the world too. So I definitely want to look more into that. So to shift a little bit, talk about mental health and community management. So I've been real excited to talk about this, because as a community manager myself, like it can get very isolating, and I think when you add the layers and like intersectionality on top of that, like being a community manager who manages a community full of people with marginalized identities, who have extra barriers in the gaming world and things like that. But then, as a community manager, you're focusing on like supporting the community, making sure they have what they need. But I need the community manager for community manager. Where it's hard to like kind of find that support as a community manager, because I feel like it's such a unique role. So as streamers and creators and gamers, many of us have found ourselves in this role kind of like accidentally, like, and a lot of the time, it's we didn't intend to get into that role. Especially for streamers, they start streaming and then boom, here's a Discord server, boom, here's a community of people who are like kind of surrounding you. And we're not often prepared to handle mental health crises in our communities. So in your opinion, like, how can streamers and creators and gamers alike be more proactive in knowing what to do if they encounter a mental health crisis in their community?
Yeah, I mean, before I start, I just want to say I really commend community managers. That it's I'm not one myself, but I can only imagine the work that goes into it. And I know you shouted out a lot of folks on your team too who are helping run the community, but y'all are really shaping and creating culture in your areas, in your servers, whether it be on Switch, on Discord, whether it be on Twitch. Like y'all are creating and maintaining culture in a way that there isn't a lot of research on just yet, but I believe folks are starting to realize the unique needs and the use cases for it. I'm actually like working on some stuff now, looking at moderators and community managers, because I think that y'all are all like a unique user case on the platform. Like, yes, y'all use Discord, but y'all are using it in a very different way. So I would say, and I think it also depends and matters on like how you're running your community. It's so easy to say, take a break, but like, I'm going to start off and say, take a break. And I know there are some community managers who pre-schedule out content and events. I really, really, really want to stress, like, pre-schedule those breaks. You don't have to, I know wanting to maintain the culture is probably, you want to do something every month. Ask yourself, is that really necessary? Like, your community are there because they value you as a people and they appreciate the space that you have, but your community should not be thriving at the expense of your mental health. So breaks, like, rely on your team. You mentioned having an amazing team of folks who help support, find ways to tap them in. Even if you're unable to make, like, if you're unable to take if you feel like you're unable to take an extended amount of time off, maybe there's a day a week where you say, I'm not going to be on. You schedule a self-care day. I would say boundaries are huge. Like, what are the hours that you will be online? Be really strict about it. And then be upfront about it with your community members. Because I know every community, especially on Discord, you have some of the rules and expectations. And if you start off and you're like, hey, I'm not going to be online on Sundays, like, this space will be free, but I'm not going to be there. And then you've set that expectation from the jump. But also, like, you can implement that at any time. I would say reach out to your tribe, whether they're online or they're in person. Like, they're there for you. And if there's somebody who doesn't understand what it is that you're doing and they're not willing to learn, they might not be the best person for you to reach out to or have in your life, because the role is really important and taxing. And then I'll say, like, when it comes to mental health crises, number one, there is such thing as secondary trauma, and it can be really, sometimes you know what's going to trigger you and you don't know what's going to trigger you. And so I would say always, like, check in with yourself. I think community managers and moderators always operate from a place of empathy, and they feel like wholeheartedly responsible for a lot of the things that are happening, or feeling like they need to respond to what's happening. Sometimes you might not be able to, and I know it might hurt and it might be hard, but like, that's okay, because you have to protect yourself too. And that can mean sending your community member those resources that I mentioned. So crisis text line, Throughline Care, or anything else that you think is helpful. And then maybe you do a check-in if you feel comfortable doing it. I would say have a dedicated channel. I know there are some servers that have like a mental health channel or a venting channel. Set specific guidelines and expectations about that. Iterate that there aren't trained professionals, and that it's a space for there, and that folks might not be able to respond. And for community managers themselves, I would say, like, those resources are there for you too. I'm trying to think what else comes to mind for me. I would say those are some of the main things that come up for me, but like, your community is really important. And like, you, especially for you, talking to you, Brandy, like, you have created this is your baby. But like I said, it shouldn't be existing, and like, it shouldn't be doing well when you're not doing well. And I know your community members would want that either.
Oh yeah, they don't play. They don't play.
Yeah. And also, y'all, like, not all community managers and moderators are trained professionals.
Yes.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. You don't have to take on that role. Yep.
If you don't want to have the I don't want to say burden, but maybe like the anxiety or like worrying about what might come up in a mental health channel, that's a personal choice. You don't have to have that channel in your community. There are a lot of other spaces that folks can go to. Like, it doesn't mean that your community is not a community because you don't have it. It just means that you know your limits, you know what you're able to support, you know what your boundaries are, and your community members will they'll be okay with that.
Yes. I love that you talked about how that's optional. Like, I really want, like, streamers especially, who do have communities, there can be a lot of pressure to handle, like, to make a space for those kind of conversations when you're not equipped and you don't feel comfortable talking about that. Like, maybe that's just not it. And I think there's a conversation around, like, that resurfaces in, like, the streamer community often about, like, trauma dumping and in people's chats and things like that. And there's like this unwritten expectation that you are supposed to, like, carry that you're supposed to be responsible for that. And that if you don't provide that space, then, like, you're being neglectful. But, like, I really appreciate you bringing up that, like, no, it's not. Like, if that's not your wheelhouse, if that's not your comfort, then you don't have to have a space like that. If you want to have like a place where people can find general resources, that can be it. Like, you don't have to go further than that. And I think that's very important to call out. Another thing you said that I'm going to put it on a sticky note and just remind people too, is that the community should not be thriving at the expense of your mental health. Like, that is so profound. And I think it will really help people just kind of reflect on, like, how they manage their community, and whether or not they need to have more balance. I know that was something for me that I did experience. Like, I did feel like that at one point, and I had to check myself because even working in higher ed, I was a first responder when I was on duty, like on call. Like, when I was on that on-call shift, it was 24 hours, 7 days a week, no matter what. And I had to respond. I was in charge of, like, the whole my whole half of the campus,
Wow.
like, or like sometimes the whole campus. Like,
wow.
If anything happened, like it was up to me to respond and get emergency people there if need be, and that's why I ended up leaving that field in that position, because the secondhand trauma got to be too much, and it was eating me alive. And so like I've had to like just keep checking in with myself and make sure that those boundaries are there, with regardless of where I'm at, whether it's work, community, things like that. So I really appreciate like that call out to like setting that boundary and letting like community managers know that you can determine your comfort level and what you are willing to provide and share and things like that.
Yep. Exactly. Like you said, like you might have started a community and did not know that mental health themes and conversations might come up. And you might see that they are coming up. You don't have to change how you've set up your community so that you can allow that conversation again. If you don't feel like it's something that you can do, that you have the training to, and most people don't, you can decide that that's not something that you want in your space. And when you make your guidelines, your community guidelines, when you revisit your community guidelines, you can just make that expectation known. And if community members leave, that's okay. Like, that's okay. There's people come in and out of communities all the time, and there will be people who are like, okay, I hear the boundary, I accept that. Like, I have other spaces for this, and they're usually in the space for you. They want to keep up with you. They want to have conversations with other folks. Like, they'll be okay with that.
Yep, and that's that on that. And that's that on that. So we already kind of talked about like community manager, like mental health and how to take care of your mental health and things like that. But from a member perspective, though, sometimes we enter online spaces that make us feel safe and comfortable, which can like kind of open the doors for like oversharing, very hard things and traumatic things. So how, in your opinion, how can members be more proactive in making sure that they're expressing themselves in a way that is healthy, while also being considerate of how what they share could impact like the community?
Yeah. Listen, I believe that everyone deserves to be heard and everyone deserves to be seen. And you're right. There are folks who don't feel like they have that in their personal lives, but they find that in their online communities, and they use that as a vehicle to express themselves. I will gently encourage asking for folks to ask themselves, like, what am I looking to get out of this? Am I sharing to be heard? Am I sharing to be seen? Am I sharing, because what do I want people to do with this information as well? Because kind of like we spoke about in the other question with community managers, like you could put all this out there and you might not have anybody respond. Folks might not know how to respond to it. Folks might like continue on with conversation, and I'm sure that could feel really hard and challenging too. So asking yourself, what is it that I'm looking for? Identifying if there are other spaces in which you can share first before taking it online, especially if it's not like, if you haven't done it before in the online space, you haven't seen folks do it before. I would say if you see a channel that is mental health specific, keeping the conversation to there. There's a reason why that channel exists, and people get to choose for themselves. They have the autonomy of going into the mental health channel or going into the mental channel versus being in the general discussion. But I also really encourage just like off platform sharing. And it doesn't have to be with another person. Journaling. I feel like every therapist is always like journal, but like journaling is really helpful.
Help me.
I listen, and personally for me, I've started using voice memos. So I will use the voice memo app on my phone, and if I'm having a really tough time or if I'm going through a lot of emotional dysregulation, I'll pull out my phone, I'll record everything that I'm trying to say. That I feel like I need to say. I don't have to get my words together. I can ramble. I have recorded like 8-minute voice memos. Sometimes I go back and I listen to them. Other times I don't. And then if I feel like after I've done the voice memo that there are still things that like I still need some support from my friends, once I've gotten like all those details out, then I'll go back to my friends and I'll say like, this is what I'm struggling with. And I'm able to summarize it really well. And I don't have to, and then I don't feel the need to give all that extra detail that I did in the voice memo because I got it out there.
Exactly. Yep. Wow. Hold on. That's a game changer right there. Cause I always just wrote, but like I'm gonna consider the voice because sometimes I'm better with like speaking sometimes than writing.
Yes.
And like I can get it out by talking a lot better than I can write. Because I don't know, writing down my thoughts forces me to like reshape what I'm saying into like a written format. That can be too much work. Sometimes I just need to talk.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to write all that.
Literally. I don't want to write all that. That's more work.
Exactly. Now my hand hurts. Like, you know, all these things. So definitely, like, you can use yourself in that way. Like, just do the voice memo if you want to listen back. Also, if you like to vlog, pull out your phone, record a video. Record you talking to your screen because that is a release. That's a cathartic release right there. And oftentimes when folks are like sharing a lot or oversharing online, they're looking for that cathartic release because there's been something that's been built up inside them. And then, you know, obviously I'm going to say like, reach out for support, whether it's again, some of those other resources that I mentioned. I listen, I'm trained as a therapist. I always champion therapy. I also recognize that therapy costs money. So if that's something that you are able to do, look into it. Because listen, I always say I'm paying for somebody to be on my side all the time. No, my therapist does be reading me. She does not have my side. But that's also like, again, this all helps with processing. Like, I feel like a lot of folks share online because they want to be heard. And sometimes it leaves them feeling even more insular and isolated because the people who would respond aren't responding correctly and they're unable to. And that's just the reality of like, they might not know you very well in order to do that. And you deserve whatever you have going on to be treated with care. Exactly. The last thing I'll say is that like everybody has different triggers and everybody has different things that can impact them. So like, you know, I have life experiences that I could easily talk about, but that it might not be easy for you to hear and listen to. So also like keeping that in mind is that there might be people who just like they're not able to, due to their own life circumstances, cannot receive what it is that you're sharing. And it might be so I'll just say that as like you just never know what other people are dealing with. Also be mindful with that. And I know it can be hard when you're in the midst of a crisis or feeling incredibly emotionally dysregulated. So I'd say like kind of lean on those other tools, lean on your support system around you, do the voice note, vlog, do a recording, and then you can kind of concise your thoughts there and be like, okay, this is how I'm feeling, this is actually what I need next, and you can help yourself there.
Yep, absolutely. So we're going to transition a little bit into our last serious question before we just ask some fun ones. But folks, if you have questions, we'll be approaching the Q&A very soon. If you have any questions, we're just going to take a couple questions from the chat. If you all have questions for Patricia, please drop them in chat as we prepare to wrap up very soon. All right. So, with so many people like engaging in video games, we talked earlier about like, you know, gaming like being like a aid in like mental health and things like that. But how do you think the gaming industry can do better in supporting players in their mental health journey? You know, we of course love to see more companies implement like resources and things like that, like Discord has, but like, you know, in your opinion, how can the gaming industry do better?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm gonna start up and say all industries can do better. Like mental health is just an ever evolving experience, and I think we have done wonders in reducing stigma when it comes to like anxiety and depression, but there are other really severe mental illnesses, also known as SMIs, that we have not yet removed that stigma from, such as like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. And so I'll start off and say that's like, I think as a collective, we can all do better. When I think about specifically in the industry I'm in, I'm really big on collaboration. Like, mental health and how you can being able to support your players or your user base is not a competition, and I believe that we should all be doing it together. And we have folks who are on all the different platforms, who are playing all the different games, who have all the different consoles, so working together to see how can we mate folks, like whether it's through inclusive language, whether it's through like always updating community guidelines and like what's allowed and not allowed on some of these places and there's consoles. We talked about, you mentioned, yes, obviously incorporating resources and making that readily available to players, fostering like positive communities through the community guidelines. I said cross-industry collaboration work, and also like there are experts, right? Like I get to show up in Discord as a licensed social worker, but there are people who knew more than me within the gaming space and the intersection between gaming and mental health. And it is my job to reach out to them and work with them and like make sure that I'm making an informed decision. So also making sure that you don't have, like, I think it's important starting with like a role like mine, but it shouldn't just be only one person making those decisions. It should be including the voices of the player base. So that's through research. It could be joining like cross-industry working groups. I'm able to be so I would say that those are also, another thing. So what I've noticed with some gaming conferences that I've been to or I've looked to, there are specific mental health spaces there for people to decompress. They get a lot of anxiety or social anxiety. There's an organization called Take This for a while. Those rooms.
I'm familiar with them. Yes, they're great. Great.
I think having those spaces and those lounges available in-person settings where you're bringing people together, because you're still acknowledging the fact that like this could be a very overwhelming and overstimulating space. It also speaks to neurodivergency. So making sure that you are showing up, not only that, yes, a lot of these games are happening online, but how are you fostering that in person, like at in-person events too? And also just like having conversations with folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I do love, I've been to a couple of conferences myself where I've seen those spaces, like those where people who might have like, anxiety, social anxiety, or just need some quiet time I know I get overstimulated, and I need to like just reset, or I just need like quiet. Like I really appreciate that I've seen those spaces pop up more frequently in the past couple years or so at conferences. 'Cause I think the assumption is that everybody's like extroverted and like the entire time, but no, there's a lot of people dealing with things. Life does not stop because you at a con. Life don't stop because you're at a conference,
it might be on pause, but it doesn't stop. And so just acknowledge it. Like, and you said, just having a quiet room, a quiet place where people can retreat. Think about how some of these conferences have built-in breaks. Like, these are all small things that really support mental health. Like, it doesn't have to be as in-depth as having a therapist available or having a meditation room, because folks meditate in different ways. But if you create a space where they can meditate or where they can journal or where they can take a breath, that's championing for their mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna shift into just a couple of fun questions, and I have a couple of questions that some community members have submitted. So we'll go right into that, and then we're gonna wrap up and be done. And we're having so much fun.
I know. The time has gone by so fast.
Hasn't it?
Wow.
Hasn't it? It's been great. It's been great. So I'll do the two questions. I have two questions that folks have submitted. First question is, we have a member who wants to know, what is your favorite way to decompress?
Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay. It depends on the day. Okay. So if I feel like I'm incredibly overwhelmed and I haven't been able to take care of myself, one of my favorite ways to decompress is make myself a meal. Like I will be in that kitchen for hours with music, with my audiobook, and like the fact that I got to feed myself something nourishing that I put a lot of love and care and attention to, that's one way. I would say playing games, like, again, especially since I got my Switch, if I've had a really long day, was really meeting heavy, and I don't want to speak to anybody, and I feel like I can't even handle the noise of TV or a book, I will sit on my couch and I would play my Switch. I've had days fully dedicated to me oscillating between watching Real Housewives, playing my Switch, taking a nap. Like I have that built in. And during the day, like during the workday, if I've had just 4 hours of meetings, I will sit there and play a game called Spirit Swap on my laptop.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Reading also, because reading helps drive my imagination. I'm an avid reader. I'm a huge reader. I got a little book tattoo. I'm such a book nerd.
Oh, okay. I gotta know what you're reading. After this, I need to know what you're currently reading.
Oh, okay. So I'm currently reading a book called Dream Count by Chimamanda. She wrote yes, she wrote Americana.
Yes.
It is it tells the story of four or five women who are connected in some way, shape, or form, whether they're family or acquaintances. And you hear about each person through the perspective of whomever they're like, whoever's chapter you're reading, and then you dive into them from their own perspective. It's just such a phenomenal writer. It's so good. I highly recommend it. And then I'm also listening to Matriarch by Mama Knowles.
Yes. Oh my God. I need to check it out.
It's so good.
I need to check it out. Yes.
I love hearing her story.
Yes. Hey, Serial. All right. We have, Serial, you asked a great question because I also, you asking this from me too. Serial says, how do you balance social media usage and mental health?
Yes. Hi, Serial. Great question. So sometimes I'm really bad at the balance, and other times I'm really dedicated to it. So at the top of the year, I'll usually do like I am in church, and so sometimes I'll do a fast, and I'll do a social media fast. So I won't be on it from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and that will stay with me for a while. I'm right now. I have a friend who told me that when she wakes up, to get herself to stop like reaching for her phone, she writes in her journal. So I've been writing in my journal every morning when I wake up, and that has helped. I had the timers, and then on Instagram, I just kept being like 15 more minutes, 15 minutes, ignore.
Yes.
But there is a time where I like to be off social media at night, and that's because I have a really dedicated bedtime routine. So if I stick to it, I'm in bed, I'm reading, and then I'm going to sleep at a certain time. I would say like it's hard, we're all trying to be much better at it. It can really, sometimes it's great to like just, it could be a great tool. I'd be finding it so funny. I'm not on TikTok anymore, so that was a huge help. And then I would just say, give yourself grace. Like, find ways that work. Start off small. I'm still learning what that balance is. There are times in which I do really, really well. And there are times in which I was like, this screen time count can't be right. What are you talking about? It's like my phone had to be on all day. So it's a learning skill for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. It's to chime in. It's a learning skill for me too. Like sometimes I'm gonna be completely honest. Sometimes I turn my entire phone off. Sometimes I just turn it off and that's it. I love it. And then next thing I know, hours have gone by and I'm like, oh man, wow. And I'm like, I'm gonna just leave it off for the night. Oh, well, if it's an emergency, call 911.
We'll find tomorrow.
Right.
I don't have any notifications.
Me too.
And I use Do Not Disturb all the time.
Same.
So those have always helped me.
Same. My phone my phone stays on Do Not Disturb. Like it stays on Do Not Disturb. Yes. Oh, hi, Ashley. Ashley says you and her. Yeah, you're in a book club together. Okay, book club. So another question we have from a community member. What is your advice on managing social anxiety and getting to know members in my community?
I was going to ask, is this in person or online communities? Listen, social anxiety, especially after COVID, I'm looking forward to the research on it because I know that we have been impacted significantly because of what was necessary during the pandemic. I would say start off small. if you can identify one small thing that will help you get over your social anxiety, so maybe you are chiming into a comment with, if we're talking about online, like maybe you start off by like responding to something, or maybe you start off by sending a DM that just says hi. I would say identify really small tasks that can help you reach there. Don't feel like you have to go in and be ready to like handle a conversation right away. It is okay to practice conversations. It's okay to sometimes like script things out to get yourself to feel comfortable. It's okay to like listen to other people having conversations to get tips there. But I would say wanting to get to know members in your community, identify something that you have. If there's something that you have in common with that person in your community, again, if we're thinking about a gaming community, you're likely in there because y'all are playing the same game. Maybe you start off by asking, what does your avatar look like? And y'all can compare that. Maybe you start off by asking, what level are you on? Maybe you start off by asking, how did you get past this one quest, or how did you complete this one quest? Like there are really small ways. Now, if we're talking about in person, I actually met somebody at a conference who talked about having social anxiety. And so they intentionally wore like brighter colors because they knew that people who would come up being like, oh my gosh, I love that color. Like, I love your outfit. And they were like, my way of like, I didn't have to start the conversation, but I knew that there would be attention drawn to myself that other people would. And from there, and I went up to them, I remember being like, I love your shirt. And they're like, and that's when they told me, and I was like, a great tactic, because here I am.
It's great tactic.
We're having a conversation. We were going back and forth. Like, and you, I would have never thought that they had social anxiety, but they were so natural, but they're like, it's just hard for me to start. So doing that. If you are like trying to work yourself up on talking to folks within your community, also in person, maybe you start off by like going to your local coffee shop and ordering a coffee and asking the barista, how are you? Like starting with maybe folks who don't feel like they're 100% in your community, but you get comfortable with that little aspect of small talk, and then you bring it to wherever it is that you're trying to have this conversation. But I would say always try to find something in common, because once you make that connector, it's off to the races.
Yes, those are some great tips, because I've seen this question a couple times. I've seen this comment or like a similar comment saying like, I have a hard time like, talking here, or, I don't really know anyone, and like, I have social anxiety, so I don't know how to go about, being like a more active member. And I think these are all very, very great points. Well, thank you all for your questions. Very great questions. Hi, Lee. I see Lee in chat. So
I see Stereo's content. Draw attention to yourself. I could never. Listen, it worked for somebody. It might not work for everybody.
Right. So for fun, what game or games are you currently playing?
Okay. I feel like since I got my Switch, people were like, you got to play Breath of the Wild. You got to play Breath of the Wild. And I was like, I don't know. There is fighting in there. I heard it's hard. And my first game was Hogwarts Legacy. So like, I really was playing myself. But I got it. I just got it a week ago. Yeah. I'm having a great time. I feel like I have to find like 15 minutes every day just to play it. I laugh when I die. Like, I just think it's so funny. I jumped off, I like went to the edge of the cliff, and I didn't know that like I was going to jump off and die. And I just thought the way that he died was so funny, and I laughed. I got my ass beat. I don't know if I could curse on this, but like I literally had one of those things, like they had a club and they hit me so hard several times as I was pressing all the buttons to get my equipment, and I died. Like, I just find it's so funny. I just think it's such a fun game. So I'm having a great time with it, but I'm learning the mechanics. I'm learning when to pick stuff up. I just learned how to make an app, like grill an apple. I'm having a great time.
Yes. I love, speaking of you falling off that cliff, comment in chat, does this game have fall damage? Gaming proverbs, right?
I literally had no idea. I was like, what's over here? Next minute, he's on the floor. Like, okay. I approach every edge very slowly, and I see if it says climb down first, and I've learned.
I love that. Listen, sometimes you have to laugh. Because I laugh at myself when I die in silly ways too when I'm gaming. So
it's just so unexpected. Like
it is. Right. It is. I'm always curious about. I'm a big music fan, so I'm always curious what folks are listening to. So what song or artist currently have you obsessed?
Okay. So I have a couple artists that it's every day. Every day.
Okay.
The first one is Beyonce. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm seeing her in 2 months.
I saw her last week.
How was it? I'm like, listen, Renaissance, I did well. I said I wasn't watching any clips. Cowboy Carter, after the first one, I said, where's everything? Okay.
Yeah.
I did it once, I'm not doing it again. I'm not doing it again.
Yes.
It looks phenomenal. Was it everything? Was it everything?
It was amazing. We were in the 200s, but in the front row seats.
You did it right. You did it right. Yep.
It was perfect. It was everything. It was everything. We did have a 3-hour delay because of Chicago's weather.
Oh, you were in Chicago.
Yes, I was night 1 of Chicago with the tornado watch and the severe thunderstorm and all that, all in Soldier Field. Yeah. I just will say I'm so glad I did not wear a cowboy hat. Instead, I did a bandana around my locks.
Okay.
I'm glad I did that because everybody's cowboy hats was flying everywhere. My sister who was with me. Cheap. No, they're not. My sister was with me. Hers flew. We had to go downstairs to another section and get it. So yes, but I'm actually plotting to try to see her in Vegas.
Listen, I think Vegas and Houston, I mean, they're all going to be great shows. She's making changes. And I had friends who went to Renaissance, and when it rained, and like they said that she gave her heart and soul to make up for the rain. So I'm sure she was great in Chicago, but do it. You see, Lee said, do it. Yeah, go.
Yeah. I'm literally plotting.
Yep.
Literally plotting. Yes. Yep. Anyone else other than the Queen?
Oh yeah. So I was like, let me start. Beyonce's a constant. Jasmine Sullivan is a constant. Need You Bad, I'm going to sing like my heart is broken every single time at the top of my lungs. Listen, I know my neighbors are sick of me. They're like, who has this girl down bad? Nobody. But I gotta sing along with my girl.
I know.
Pour my heart out.
Yes.
And then I'm seeing Kendrick and SZA next month. I'm ready. And then I really love. So I just listened to the Hell's Kitchen, the musical.
Okay. Yeah.
Listen to that soundtrack. I love it. I'm obsessed. It's all her songs, but it's like different renditions of it. And it tells such a great story. I love the way that she puts the music in there. It sounds amazing. The talent is phenomenal. So I've been listening to that soundtrack.
I love that. Yes, I love that. Yeah. +1 to Beyonce. Cowboy Carter got me in the chokehold.
Listen, I'm in the country for one night and one night only.
Listen,
that's when I see her. I'm a country girl. Listen.
I'm obsessed with Cowboy Carter.
What's your favorite song on the track on the album?
Oh God, it changes. Right now, well, okay, I can't pick just one. I'm gonna give you a couple.
Okay,
Bodyguard.
Oh yes.
Blackbird.
Yes.
Flamenco. Yes. Desert Eagle.
I love Desert Eagle. Yes.
And Sweet Honey Buckin'. Oh, and 2 Hands to Heaven.
Listen,
I can't. Sorry, I know there was more than a couple, but
might as well just say the whole album because
listen, 2 Most Wanted. Love her and Miley Down. Like
so good together.
I just cannot.
Well,
Daughter.
Levi's Jeans.
Yes.
Post Malone, very interesting man. Love him on that track. Love me some Weezy.
Yes.
2 Hands to Heaven feels like a spiritual experience for me. Like, listen.
It's the way I'll be screaming.
Listen. You thought my heart was broken when I'm singing Need You Bad? 2 Hands to Heaven, you think that I am in love, okay?
Because it's giving Jodeci. It's giving 90s.
Wow. I would have, yes. That is exactly it. Yes.
It's giving Jodeci.
Like my heart and soul. I need more of it. I love it so much.
Yeah. Yep. All of that. Daughter, Alligator Tears.
Oh. Yaya. Come on.
Yaya. Like I just can't. Like I just
American Work. I mean, like I said, the whole album. Honestly, the whole album. It's no skips. No,
it's unskippable.
Yep.
Like
16 carriages. All of it. All of it.
Yes. But I think flamenco is like that.
Yes.
And it's even though it's short, it's just
The words. It's the
so
words.
short, but it's and tyrant.
Oh, girl. One by
Listen,
one.
that little fiddle every time is gonna do it.
Your hands are steady and you sleep at night. Don't get me started. It's gonna be a concert. It's gonna be a concert.
Listen, we won't sound like Beyonce, but we will be significantly cheaper. You let us know, okay? We can do this again. We won't have the costume changes. We won't have Rumi. We won't have Blue.
Right.
We'll have our own choreography.
I do have cowboy boots if that counts.
I got jeans. I got denim. I can put them together real soon.
Yup, real quick. Listen, y'all gonna have a good time. I bet you that.
We said no. Yeah, I know. Like I said, I got boutiques. I can do something.
Yes, that's good enough. That's good enough. So is there anything else you'd like our audience to know?
Oh my gosh. I just want to say thank you so much. This has been such a delight. What a great way to start the long weekend. Yeah. Thank you everybody who joined in and like the chat. It took me so long to figure out the chat, but once I was in there, I was in it. Thank y'all so much. Y'all are funny. Y'all are so engaging. And this has just been, this has been really great. So I appreciate you so much for using your platform to allow me to come on here and speak. I'm so entirely grateful for it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for blessing us with your presence and your knowledge and just your story, your experiences. You know, it's very important for us to, like I said, prioritize joy. And I definitely think we did that today while also talking about things that are important. Because both can exist at once. And
y'all, we deserve to be happy.
Yes,
exactly. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to have joyful moments. I know that there's a lot of stuff. Alexa said, not the Beyonce concert live. Listen, we gave y'all a taste.
Yes.
Thing, hit us up. But yeah, I know that the times are rough right now and things feel really bleak. But remember that the things that you can control are within your control. So focus on those things. I know it can feel like everything outside of it's out of control. If you could find one thing every day that you can be like, I was able to control this, whether it's like you went to the gym, you went on a walk, you sat down and you watched TV, you played your game. You deserve to smile. You deserve to smile.
Period.
And you have that.
Yep. And you have that. Exactly. Wonderful advice. Wonderful interview. It's been so fun talking to you. I especially loved our little Beyonce moment. I love a Beyonce moment.
Same.
But I really appreciate you, Patricia, and the work that you are doing is so important. Not only just, to me, but to people on Discord. Like it's essential. It's essential work. So it's important work. So I just really want to thank you for being a guest. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for seeing us and seeing me. It really, really means a lot. I really appreciate it. And we'd love to have you back. We'd love to have you back.
You tell me when. I'll be there. Thank you so much, Wendy. I just, again, thank you for creating this community and the space that you have and finding different ways to elevate voices. And I've seen a couple of my colleagues and my friends in this chat. Thank y'all so much for the support. But to see you just again, we met, it hasn't even been a full year, but I've been able to see the things that you've brought to life over the last, has it even been 6 months? I don't even know. Girl, you are working and you are doing incredible things. And I'm just so excited to see what else you have in store.
Thank you. I will definitely keep you posted on all the happenings. But thank you all so much for joining us today as well, and supporting our code chats. It really means a lot. The VOD will be up on YouTube and Twitch after this. So feel free to share, especially if you think someone would benefit from hearing this conversation. We will be live with our next code chat. We're doing this monthly. They're back. This is our first code chat since 2023. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. I knew I had to have somebody good on here. Yes, girl. Yes. We're back. You're a part of our comeback. So we'll definitely keep doing these more often. So be on the lookout for the announcement for our next guest, for next month. Otherwise, also BGC members, reminder, tomorrow evening we will be having a Monster Hunter Wilds game night. Folks who are new to the game or veterans are welcome. We'll be playing and talking about game. Pop No Tarts will be hosting. So be sure to come and support that 6 p.m. in the BGGC Discord server. But that's it for now. So I'm gonna close out the show and send us on our way. Patricia, I'm gonna bring you backstage so we can say our closing in just a moment, right after we end. Everybody say bye to Patricia.
Bye, y'all. Enjoy your weekend. I might. That sounds fun. I don't even know Monster High. I might join in. We'll see.
I never played either, but it's gonna be a good time. All right. So y'all, we will be closing out. We're gonna raid someone. I just need to see who is currently live on Twitch, on the BGGC, on the team, and we are gonna send the love over to another member or whoever is live right now, because we are about sharing the love in these Twitch streets. I'm gonna send y'all over to Chelsea Bites. Chelsea was a guest on our show I believe I think that was I can't believe 2023 was that long ago. But yes, thank you Hexley for posting the raid command. But yeah, we're gonna go see Chelsea Bites, who's doing Friday with Friends. So I'm gonna get that raid set up very quickly. And yeah, we'll see you all on Twitch, on YouTube. Also, make sure y'all check out the documentary. Please check out the documentary. It's called Deeper Than the South. It's on our YouTube channel. We worked really hard on it. It's about Southern Gothic culture and how it influenced South of Midnight. So definitely make sure you check that out. It's a wonderful documentary, and we really appreciate the support. All right, so we're getting ready to head on out. The raid has been started, so make sure you all go ahead and say hello to Chelsea Bites, and I will see you all around. Have a great weekend. Catch you later. Bye.